how were your last 2 years professionally in terms of the virtual courts? How was your experience? What are the practices that you took upon in the COVID phase, which you still believe has some value? And post-COVID, I hope COVID is behind us, they will still in some way be of use to the ecosystem.
Thank you, Dr. Batra, asking this question. I must mention to you, okay, I'm in litigation since inception of my practice. And I was the lawyer who was doing at least 15-20 matters per day. So the moment the COVID came, the entire country was clueless. The judicial system was clueless. They were not knowing which direction we are moving. And suddenly there was an order by the Supreme Court and our own High Court for the closure of the court. And we are not knowing whether we are going to continue with this practice or not, because there was a fear everywhere. There was fear, apprehension in the mind of the people of this country, especially Delhi, which is having the all the tribunals and the courts, 3-tier courts. Everything was there, and we are not confined only to one court. So we are practicing in one forum, another forum. So we are moving from one forum to another forum. So I must say that this is the initiative of our own High Court. This technology they develop in the short span of time in the Supreme Court, and they developed this technology, and then we came to know about this Zoom meetings, then WebEx meetings. So many things came into the picture, and they slowly they started the working of the court. They started in the phase manner, and we adopted this system. I must say that I have the science background, so I'm from the old school of thought and the very conservative thought. So my father was a college teacher. My uncle was also physics professor. So I've been taught by them to read less, write more. So I had developed the habit of the writing all these things and doing everything in physically. So, and I was very reluctant in doing everything through technology. I was very reluctant when I joined my office, the chamber of Mr. Siddharth Luthra. He was in the process of developing this technology in his office. I was very reluctant, and he always used to say, no, you start learning all the things, you do the work in the computer. But I believe in the doing everything in the pen and pencil and doing myself. So I would rather say that this COVID proven as a blessing in disguise, because people like me who learned the user of the technology, and it was very handy because, and I would say that the solicitors who were briefing us, and especially the law firm, they were so advanced and so trained. They started sending the file, and the file was well managed. There was a bookmark. So once you go and you click, then you will find the pages where you desire, and you can easily argue. And then we found this is my first experience. We found the benefit of the sharing the document, because in the COVID time, I got an opportunity to argue a final matter before the CBI court. I was very reluctant arguing the matter because I was planning to delay the matter by one reason to another reason, but the learned presiding officer insisted me, no, Mr. Dubey, we start arguing. Then I said, sir, it is not possible, I will argue physically. And he said, no, you have to argue and there is no option, you start. So in that process of my argument, I came across this sharing the document and how you read and the marking the documents. You can write so many things. So this is all together the different kind of the technology we got during the COVID. The second thing also, I would say, the learners, and they were learners, they also got involved, but there were some old thoughts of these lawyers who got deprived from this COVID because they were generating their work only up in coming to the court, like they are sitting in their seats, not in the chamber. They don't have the permanent clients. They have the clients who walking clients come suddenly, and they'll get the brief and they will argue the matter. So that kind of the one sect and the class of the lawyers,
So,
they got deprived from their practice through this COVID.
Mr. Dubey, let me ask you a very straight question. Do you prefer a physical hearing? Is that what you're saying? Or you're now more comfortable with virtual hearing?
Now I have adopted this virtual hearing, but I'm very fond of arguing the matter, doing the matter physically, because you have the eye-to-eye contact, and you can easily read the mindset of the judge. And in the my experience is not arguing for the n number of time. Your art should be where to start, where to stop, and that you can do only if you are physically and physical contact with the judge. Number one. Number two, the problem we have faced, that is also the one of the drawback this virtual hearing. Suppose the one side of the lawyer is arguing and you want to put your argument and you are interrupting, then the message would go to the bar, no, you are disrupting the lawyer, you are very aggressive, you are creating the nuisance. But in the physical, you can easily say, yes, I want to say something, and the judge will pay the attention.
Mr. Dubey, also, a lot of my friends who have similar backgrounds as you, who are seniors or are part of law firms, and they said you needed to prepare more for a virtual hearing than you did for a physical hearing. You needed to be sharper in a virtual hearing than you were, because you could be spontaneous in a physical hearing.
Rather, I would say you need more preparation for the physical hearing and less for the virtual hearing, because the virtual hearing, you have everything. I just mentioned you have the pages, you have bookmarks done, everything is done, the judgment is there, and you can immediately share the relevant portion of the judgment before the court. And so I would say the physical hearing is tougher than.
अच्छा, billing किसमें ज़्यादा होगी?
A billing is the virtual hearing. Of course, the billing would be the virtual hearing, because suppose the solicitor wants to have the conference and want to get the opinion, so they don't need to come, and you can use. And in the virtual hearing, my experience, the day came to me only on that day. I did the 4 or 5 matters together, because one matter finished, just another system is open. You do the
Zoom from Zoom.
So that's the benefit for the lawyer who can earn the more money through the virtual. But the physical, it is very difficult, because you cannot travel from one place to another place.
So what would you prefer? Let's say it's the same money and everything. What would you prefer, Mr.
Dr. Batra, see, the judicial systems is basically interrelated with the bench and bar. If you had the good assistance from the bar, the judges will deliver the good judgment, and there would be the real end of the justice. What we have seen during the COVID time, a lot of good lawyers, they were present before the various high courts. Even the lawyer who are living abroad, they address the court. And I would simply give one example. Is out of context. When I was visiting my home place, that's the interior part of Bihar. It's a border with the Nepal and UP. So one of my villagers asked, sir, I have the dream to watch this proceeding. I never seen the Supreme Court proceeding, and they easily witness how the Supreme Court is working. So the virtual hearing gives you the justice at the door. One thing is also clear, you can argue the matter. You are wherever you are in the entire world, you can join the proceeding. You can address the court, and the court will get the best assistance from the member of the bar.
Understood. I'll come to some nuanced viewpoint, but let me bring in Ms. Mishra, who is the managing partner at Karanjawala and Company. And again, the litigation reduced. I mean, it increased initially, and then corporate activity and corporate litigation reduced. And you're a litigation firm primarily, with lots of corporates being your clients. Is it fair to say that the litigation activity is back to its pre-COVID levels? Is that a fair comment to make? First. Second is, what are the nuances that you learned during the virtual hearings, which are even relevant for what you're doing in a pre-COVID setting or now in a post-COVID setting?
So I think there was a fair amount of litigation that went on, things like bank guarantees and contracts where you needed emergent relief. Those are cases which wouldn't wait. So those were the kind of cases that kept us fairly busy during the virtual litigation time. But what I do find now is that the buzz is back. Also, you have the period of limitation. So where clients had the option of waiting it out for 6 months to be able to file physically, some matters people did opt to wait. That said, I think when we are talking basically about the Delhi High Court, and that's where I practice, I think we need to acknowledge what they have managed to do. And in some ways, the Delhi High Court was ahead of even Supreme Court in that sense, because it was able to put in systems much quicker. And I don't know if and this is something I want to share, that there were already a few e-courts in the Delhi High Court where the judges, although there were only 4 at that time, so on the original side and a couple on the arbitration, where judges were already endeavoring to make the switch from a physical file that is kept in the High Court to reading that brief virtually. So given that broad system which was already in place, it was much easier to transition in that sense. But as a solicitor firm, as a firm that briefs a lot of seniors like Mr. Dubey, I think one challenge that we did face was when, for example, our senior is arguing and there's a point that we want to convey. We were relying on, say, a WhatsApp messaging or a chat one-to-one, which many a times the seniors were not able to look at. So that was the challenge that I felt. But personally, I think the hybrid is here to stay. And I'm hoping and urging that it remains an option at least. For varied reasons, you could have people who are joining from another city, from another country. There are also instances where, people may be personally going through something at that time. And it's not just a gender thing, someone could be anxious, someone could be suffering from ill health, or you could just be a new parent. And you want to, for a period of time, not be constantly in the mainstream of litigation. If we give hybrid an option, I think that would be great. And also as a law firm, I think a lot of firms have now reevaluated and are revisiting what is it that we want from our colleagues. Is it just physical presence, or is it okay to just work from home and deliver? Because at the end of the day, what you want is relief for the client, and how you get there, how that journey. So that's, I think, a philosophical, deeper shift that all firms are looking at. And of course, Karanjawala,
it's happening in every
always,
business.
Yeah.
Run a media business, 300 people work with me. And I must say there are advantages of physical, but I think hybrid is here to stay.
Yes.
So maybe 3 days a week people come. When they're needed, they come.
Yes, I think it needs to be need.
But I want to ask you some nuanced question.
Please.
In your view, if you had to, before I bring Mr. Kumar into the conversation, if you had to sum up, if you have to say, what is the post-COVID world from a legal standpoint? What is the post-COVID world? What are the change scenarios? Hybrid is one of them. How do you deal with colleagues in the office in terms of an office setting? How many days should they be present? And a friend of mine called Paul Dubey is the MD of Randstad in APAC. He calls it presenteeism. People are present at work, but not necessarily contributing. Do we want presentism or do we want contribution? That's a larger debate. But from a legal community, what are the changes that have happened in the mindset of, say, Ms. Mishra, Mr. Karanjawala? What has changed for the community? Apart from what he's talked about, virtual hearings, you talk about whether to get office colleagues in, not. What else has changed? How do you define this post-COVID scenario for the legal community?
Well, I think the first would be just the way you prepare the brief itself, your interaction with your clients. All of that has moved through a virtual platform for almost, I would say, 80% of the cases, which is a huge number. Of course, there are still matters where you want to sit across, where things are a little bit complicated and it's not just 100 documents that you're sifting through. So there you may still prefer a physical presence. But supposing I have a client sitting in Mumbai who's fairly busy, but equally at the same time wanting to go ahead with the matter in Delhi. So a late night Zoom call or an early morning call gets the things started,
And what is it? And I'm going to ask real questions. I don't believe in doing panels which are like very good to discuss. How has it impacted your billings? Does the virtual consultation is the same fee?
For the firm, yes.
Yes. Okay. So mostly Mr. Saraf is also here, and that's because you don't have, for example, like a counsel, and correct me if I'm wrong, if they're not traveling, the fees are lower, right? And during the early days of COVID, the counsel fees had dropped, right? I think you would be in a better position, but whatever little I understand of this domain. Let me bring in Mr. Kumar into the conversation.
Just two things there I just wanted to add very quickly. I know we're running out of time. So, for outstation matters, obviously it's not an outstation fee. Then you're looking at your regular, what you would charge on a virtual platform, number one. And the other is fee in general. I think law firms across had given huge discounts and, just sharing that burden in the journey. So I think slowly things are trickling back to normal.
Fair enough. That's a good thing to know. And let me bring in Mr. Kumar. Mr. Kumar, would you define a post-COVID legal scenario? What has changed and what has not changed? And how do we prepare for the future?
Thank you, Annurag, for having me virtually, although I see that you are a very strong believer in a physical form, and I regret because of some prior engagement in the day, could not join physically. Coming to your question, what COVID has taught us as law firms, and which is going to be there to stay with us for all times to come, is to keep a focus or increase the focus on what value we bring to the clients. We should remember that COVID was not only difficult times for us; it was also difficult time for the business community as well. And therefore, we were on the learning curve with the clients as well, with the general counsels. And a couple of things that happened very clearly, and I want to just add to what Mr. Dubey said, is the judicial system is not just meant for the bench and the bar, but the most crucial piece there is the litigants. And therefore, both the bench and the bar have to serve the litigants. And the virtual hearing, or whatever the COVID period taught us, brought in a much more increased value to litigants. Cost, as you discussed just now, outstation matters. There was a lot of saving of costs. Generally, the legal community accommodated in terms of reduced fees during the COVID period. Even actually, when the virtual hearings were happening, not only the general counsel, but everybody in the value chain in that dispute, be it the business team or the finance team, whoever is the appropriate team concerned, they were all able to be virtually present. Therefore, it brought about a lot more accountability for the lawyers, and so on and so forth. We have discussed about the virtual hearing bit already. So I think it's a boon, and it's here to stay definitely. That one. Secondly, I think as law firms, we, at least for us, we have reworked our HR policies to accommodate virtual working for the team. Even as I speak, 40% of our team is, they have just not decided to come back, but the delivery has gone up so much in terms of quality that we don't really want to disturb the apple cart. As long as you are able to deliver to the clients, deliver to the work. I think the physical footprint in law practice is a matter of a gone era. So therefore, virtual working, what we are likely to look for amongst the workforce and lawyers is their knowledge and acceptability of technology, digital working. Artificial intelligence is already playing a big role for both the in-house community as well as the lawyers, and therefore helping the quality of work post-COVID, both in transactional law as well as in disputes. And so these are some of the thoughts that I had on the post-COVID
I want to bring Mr. Saraf and some of the young people whom I know in the audience into the conversation, but one comment from all three of you, and I'll start with you, Mr. Kumar, is for young lawyers, there are some people I know who won in 30 under 30, and I can see them because we announced the list a couple of weeks back, and we did a virtual felicitation. Is what is required in terms of new skill sets for people who are joining the profession, or even for people who've been very well entrenched in the profession? What are the new skills you need to add? And I'm not talking about technology, and all those are, of course, given. You got to keep pace with technology, whatever business you're in.
I think some areas where there is a sharp focus on the learning curve for all of us across whatever levels we are is the ability to communicate. As Mr. Dubey was saying, that in physical hearings, a lot of us find it easy to read the mind of the judge or the face of the judge. Law practice is about communicating with the clients, communicating with the other side, in negotiations, communicating with the judges. I think there's a huge space there for reworking in the virtual and the digital space of the working that we're getting into is the way to communicate and to how much to listen, what to speak, when to speak, how to read properly the scenario. I think this is an area which is definitely going to be a very crucial area, and therefore an exposure on a junior or a mid-level or even a senior on some of these soft skills are very, very important.
Thank you so much. And, I would like to ask Ms. Mishra, of course, experience matters. Reputation of the senior matters. In my litigation, one of my law firm partners is here, and we worked with them for 20 years. They won a very important litigation for me. How well the senior is prepared matter. The face value matters. I've heard it for 20 years. Do you think post-COVID, is the face value syndrome, does it stay or it is diminished? Let me ask you a real question, Ms. Mishra. I don't want to take the name of those seniors, but you know where I'm going.
Yes, I understand. And, seniors who have a face value also have it because they are that good.
They're that good. I agree.
Okay,
They prepare,
so
they're meticulous.
I would, and I think, but this whole syndrome of face value is something that was more pertinent 10 years ago. The new judges that we now have, they are not really looking. So it's not something that is a COVID related thing, but, and of course, Mr. Dubey would be probably a better person to answer, but from someone who observes senior counsel.
You completed a year and a month of being a senior, right?
I got designated on 19th March 2021.
Yeah, so a year and 2 months.
Yeah.
No.
And so far as the face value is concerned, you can't say that all the judges go by the face value. So every judge has different limitation and the different way of judging the matters. So the face value, yes, of course, the face value matters in the judicial system, but this post-COVID, I would say rather if you are arguing virtually and the judges are addressing you, Mr. Dubey, because they have read already your name when you are addressing. So the client will say, no, my lawyer is known to the judge and judge has addressed him, Mr. Dubey. So I'm in the safe hand. So this is also one of the, I would say, the good thing in the virtual hearing, you are being recognized day by day, and the recognition matters in the judicial system because you carry a lot of reputation. The judges make their mind what kind of the lawyer you are, whether you are thorough with the brief or not, whether you are honest with the brief, honest with the judge, honest with the litigants. So all these factors matters in your judicial system.
At the end of the day, judges are also human beings.
So every system. If you're a well-prepared lawyer,
it matters in every profession.
Matters everywhere.
I do this for a living, but mentally, I'm preparing for a session all the time. If I'm doing a session, if you don't prepare, it does make a difference in a negative way.
But ultimately, end of the day, the court craft is very important.
Of course.
How you are behaving yourself in the court. Because you have so many things to balance. First, you have to be master of the facts and the master of the law. you should be thoroughly briefed, number one, and prepared. Second, you have to also see what kind of the argument being addressed by the side opposite, then the query being put by the court.
Yeah.
So you have to manage the court, judges, the opposite counsel, the litigants, and the brief, especially the solicitor, because the solicitors completely relied upon you. So
Sure.
you have to deliver.
That's true today also.
Yeah.
Ms. Mishra, in terms of a lot of law firms are downsized, and I'm being real. I know, Mr. Saraf, you were busy growing your law firm then, but a lot of firms are downsized. And I'll not bring the name. Then, do you think the hiring in the law firms will pick up, as you said, the legal activity, both in terms of mergers, acquisitions, investments, litigation is coming back or is almost come back? Do you think the hiring will pick up?
I think it already has. And that said, I must also say that I feel very, very blessed in a sense to be associated for so long with Karanjawala and Company. We did not downgrade, did not remove a single associate or staff. And the firm stood by, it was a cementing process, this whole thing in whoever was unwell, families. So in a sense, the firm really came together a lot stronger, and we are already hiring. And I just wanted to say that even the hiring process has been done online, virtual interaction with an intern whom I actually hired because, she was constantly on email, on Zoom calls. So we felt that she would be a good addition. So why not?
Yeah.
So
let me take one or two questions from the audience if there are others. Otherwise, I'll wrap up we have the pleasure of having Mr. Dubey here. We have the pleasure of having Mr. Kumar here. And Ms. Mishra, any comment, any question you would have? Any comment, Mr. Saraf? The gentleman here, I don't know you personally. If you could tell us your name and your bank balance. No, sorry.
Yes.
Your name of the firm.
I think my name is just behind you. If you look around, Kunal Tandon.
You're Kunal Tandon. Okay.
So
when I grow up, I want to be like you.
Really?
I used to joke there can be a Forbes. Why can't there be a Batra? But we are Businessworld, but joking. Jokes apart.
Well, you created it. It's all over the place.
No, I did acquire Businessworld. I did not create it.
So for Meghna ji, Dubey ji, and Mr. Kumar, have you really shifted from physical briefs to virtual briefs? What I mean is, have you started reading briefs on your iPads, or is it still physical briefs?
So far as my office is concerned, we have completely shifted to the virtual. All the files are scanned and put in the PDF form and shifted to the system. So wherever we are, and my colleagues are there, my junior counsels are there, briefing counsels are there from my in-house. They all are having the brief, and we mostly doing on the virtual things. So we have completely shifted.
So
Thank you for asking.
The judge, sorry, you mean to say the judge will say, please go to page number 1783 and you'll just...
No, Kunal, you must be named because you are a regular practitioner everywhere. The software we are coming across every day, the software, they are improving and we are not getting any problem. And parallelly, we are also having the physical brief.
As a
So
backup,
there is
you
no
do have-
problem at all. We are not finding any kind of the problem by arguing the matter before the court.
Ms.
Well,
Mishra,
the question I asked this question is because I haven't been able to shift. That's
sure.
why.
You are shortly going to shift because you are going to be designated shortly by the Supreme Court.
Oh, really?
So I hope that you are going to follow the same path.
Well, I
Ms.
haven't
Mishra, your
applied
comment on this?
So, briefs which you have marked on the virtual, where you've prepared virtually, there, I personally don't want to use the physical file. But that said, the earlier matters which were 10 years old and are now coming up because, finally the court is taking up the full list. So those matters, I will still prefer to use my marked set. So going forward, I don't see myself going back to, referring to volumes. Also, it's very tedious to just carry all of that all over. It's very quick. You have like Sir said, it's all bookmarked. So it's much quicker.
For lighter side, one thing I would like to say, if you go to the High Court and if you go to the exit gate, there is a tree, neem tree. You'll find there is a permanent car by Karanjawala and company, and lot of the files were there. So you'll find at least 40, 50 bags there lying the Karanjawala and company. Then the same,
Horses always lined up by Karanjawala.
yeah,
cars.
occupied. So
Maybe we'll have lesser of those now.
Yes, we already have
Mr.
lesser.
Kumar,
Those
your
are mostly the regular matters. And like I said, it's the matters which were filed pre-COVID. But as a backup to that, even now we are maintaining a physical brief. I would not lie on the
Either,
platform.
it's not either or, it's and.
Yeah,
and
one,
Mr.
one
Kumar-
copy is definitely being maintained physically.
Mr. Kumar, your final comment?
Yes, as a firm, we are 100% working on digital files, soft copies. And to answer Kunal's question, there are technologies available which take you to page number 1171 in seconds when you need. So it's just a matter of taking the dive. Of course, having said that, wherever physical files are being filed as a matter of process, physical briefs, and if we have to go for a physical hearing per force, we of course rely on physical files, but as working, we are 100% digital.
Okay, the gentleman there wants to ask a question. Thank you for that question.
Good afternoon. My name is Kumar Mishra. I am associate partner with Intel Advocare, and I am in litigation for last 15 years. So I just want to add one comment to your query when you asked that what had changed for young lawyers from switching from physical to virtual. Now, the point which I am making and want to add here is that when you are appearing before court by way of virtual mode, your visibility is higher. So you are watched by so many people as compared to when you are appearing in court with limited number of people. So the pressure is too much to perform and to be fully prepared on merit before judge, as well as the colleagues, as well as the clients. So that the comment.
Thank you for bringing that nuance point of view.
Thank you.
Yes, the young boy here.
Good evening, sir, to all of you. My name is Anand Prakash Gautam, and I'm a student of law in second year. I would like to add a question that in current scenario, we have seen in COVID situation, all the hearing was online. And being a student, how can we learn that how to prepare a physical hearing and online hearing? There should be a subject, or if we go to an internship, we have seen our senior advocate is responding to the judges and we can't interrupt. So how we can learn that?
Good question. Thank you.
see, you are a student and you are doing the internship. Internship does not mean that you are learning so many things in the closed house. If the hearing is going on virtually, you are getting more opportunity to watch so many lawyers apart from the chamber you have joined, and you can learn how they are responding the court query, how the courts are behaving, and in that scenario also you can watch the proceeding of the so many courts. So rather I would say, barring the cross-examination in the court, you are getting the opportunity to learn every field through the virtual hearing. So there is only one thing where you are being deprived, that is the cross-examination. And the cross-examination also plays very vital role in the, especially in the criminal jurisprudence and the criminal jury system, because the entire case is based on the cross-examination. That I do agree with you. Yes, you are being deprived, you are not getting the opportunity to learn the cross-examination, but other thing is concerned, you are, I would rather say that's the boon for you to learn so many things. Because when I had joined the bar, apart from my matters, I used to go to the court and watch so many proceedings and make the notes, write down the citations and do the preparation myself and reading the file, what kind of the argument they have advanced. Immaterial, whether the matter was not pertaining to my chambers. So from the virtual hearing, you can learn so many things, and you can learn, you have the opportunity to hear so many lawyers. Like suppose you are getting the opportunity to hear Mr. Gopal Subramaniam, Mr. Harish Alve, Dr. Singhvi, Mr. Rohtaki, so many stalwarts. You will learn so many things, how they are tackling the courts, giving the answer, and how prepared they are. So this is a good thing for you.
And life is a trade-off. In everything, there's something positive, something negative.
Yeah, just one thing, if I may add, Anand, what you can do is be more involved in the preparatory to the hearing. And that's where you will learn. So, when you prepare the case law note or the factual note or do the research. That's what goes into behind each hearing. And that's also something that you need to learn before you just go out there and, start arguing your briefs. So.
Final, any comment, Mr. Kumar, and I'll wrap this up.
Yeah, I guess it's a way of looking at things. Whether the glass is half full or half empty. To a young friend, after all, training during internship is about learning the way lawyering is likely to happen in the times to come when he graduates, and it is the digital and virtual way of lawyering that is likely to come up. So I guess we should grab it with both hands.
Thank you so much.
One last, if allowed.
Okay. Yes, I don't want to cut you off today. Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you think I have a
sorry.
problem with you.
So my name is Farhat Ali Khan. To the panel, during the COVID times, we've seen, particularly regarding the criminal matters, application of bails, the regular criminal trials, the domestic trials, there could have been a very slow disposal rate. How do we deal with this kind of a situation when, there's a large amount of court proceedings conducted virtually? Because these are matters at the district levels, at the high court levels, not at the Supreme Court level entirely. So, and these relates to direct, human rights matters, etc., all across. How do we deal with these kind of cases virtually?
There are different kind of the matters, especially in the criminal matters. So one category, like you have the NIA matter, you have the officer secret matters. Officer secret matter, mere position of the secret document itself an offense. So you cannot argue the matter through the virtual things. But even in the virtual, you can put the person in the lobby, whosoever is related with the matter, and you can easily argue the matter. When there was some matter was going, which was a basically rape matter, so the other counsels were put in the lobby, and the matter and the judges directly interacted with the parties. So there is so many ways to go all the things. The ICE has already mentioned the only problem is coming, that is the cross-examination, nothing else. And apart from the cross-examination, the court is going smoothly, and we are doing. And
so not just the high-profile NIA or other these kind of matters, the regular domestic matters, the civil trials, the criminal trials, the application for bails which are pending in different districts.
No, the bail
so that could have been severely impacted.
So far as the disposal of the bail is gone, it is the very high. And you see, even in the last moment, you can file, you can submit any document, the citation judgment you can file in the late night, and the judges are more prepared. So the virtual hearing has helped increase the disposal rate. And our Delhi High Court, I would say Delhi High Court has done a fantastic job during the COVID time, and they have in the short span of time they have increased their disposal rate. So we don't find any kind of the problem through the virtual hearing. Rather, we'll say we have increased the disposal rate. So suppose you are having the conference with your senior counsel, the arguing counsel, in the late evening, and he advises you, no, you file this document, you should have filed. So prepare the index and file. So immediately, if you are able, you can do within half an hour, the file will go to the judge through the court master, and the judges are prepared. Even during the course of the hearing, you can send the document. So that is in the physical hearing, you have to file at the counter, you get the diary number, then we go to the concerned registry and the clerk, then he will tag the file in the main file, then will come. So it will take at least 2-3 days, but here you are getting within 20 days, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So the disposal rate is high. I can't accept these things. Disposal is not going to. Disposal is high, except the cross-examination.
Thank you so much. I'll have to wrap this up. Okay, I hate to say no to anyone.
Just,
especially not here.
I would just agree what Mr. Dubey did mention. In virtual, what has actually happened is that the last minute filings also have taken place by email, and they had very smoothly and seamlessly been put to the screen of the honorable benches as well. I have in few cases worked very closely during the virtual period with Mr. Dubey, and he has been very actively doing this, and very smoothly and seamlessly these activities have taken place. Yes, in few cases, I would say in commercial suits where now there are 4 parts and the volumes have really increased there. While arguing, it becomes a little bit of difficulty of referring to and going to that page as what Kunal did mention. But besides few hurdles over there, I don't think there was any problem in conducting the hearings virtually.
Thank you for that comment.
Mr. Kapoor, you must have seen our High Court judges. They are so experienced in the technology. If you mention the document within a second, they won't take them even the minute to trace the document, and they will say, yes, come. I have got the relevant document, relevant file, and you argue the.
So we'll get better.
We are well advanced. Our Delhi High Court is well as advanced in the technology.
The rest of the country can buck up for sure.
Thank you so much. Please give Mr. Kumar, Mr. Dubey, and Ms. Mishra a big round of applause. As I keep saying, clapping is good for your heart muscles. So do it for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dr. Batra and the entire BW team. Especially the Garima and Ashima and Mr. Joshi.
उसका नाम भूल जाते तो बहुत problem.
No. I don't want to blacklist it. So thanks everyone.